Hi, everybody. It's episode 426 of PodQuest.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Hi, I'm here.
Man, what a start.
You okay over there, Cub? You good?
It's been a long day.
You all right?
It's been a long day.
You're the one who wanted to record today.
I can't tomorrow.
So, well, whose fault is that?
Yours.
No, I've got nothing going on tomorrow.
No, you had to stream Resident Evil tomorrow.
Yeah, because we're recording today. Instead, I'd be recording today, or streaming today and recording tomorrow.
You could still record. You could still stream today. No one's stopping you.
I could, but honestly, this works out better because I have no food in my house, so I need to go food shopping.
Instacart.
I don't have those delivery apps on my phone anymore.
You have a computer?
I was spending too much money on delivery, so I deleted them.
I mean,
100%. Like I was ordering out too much or spending too much money on delivery fees and tips. That like 2 weeks ago I saved like over the course of like 3 weeks I saved at least $200
actually,
by just not having those apps on my phone.
Yeah, I mean, aside from like just not cooking, so you're spending money on the food itself. Like all the fees on those things are ridiculous.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up ordering lunch today from L'Attention, and it's even on their website, which I guess is through Slice. I can't remember. It's not Slice. It's their own. They actually have. If you go to their website, it's their own proprietary service. It's not Slice.
I didn't know they used their own too.
It's a $3 delivery fee on top of tip, but you save like 90 cents for ordering local, quote local. And I'm like, that's already a $5 to $7 transaction before I even put in my food. I hate it. I hate delivery fees and shit. Tip I'm fine with. Delivery fees are bullshit.
Well, start picking up your food then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if it had arrived when I was expecting it to, it would have been more convenient. But it didn't. So
excuses. That's all I'm hearing.
Look, I wanted it to show up as I was getting out of the shower so I could eat and watch Bleach during lunch. But it was like 15 minutes later than it was supposed to, and then I couldn't eat and watch Bleach during lunch because I realized I can't eat and subtitle at the same time at my computer.
I mean, you just have to not look at your food so much.
If I got tacos, that would have been a lot easier.
What did you get?
Alombre or something like that, I think is what it's called. I don't know. It's meat with peppers and onions and cheese and bacon, and then they send you tortillas, and it's all like there's juice in it, so it's like you're gonna be dripping all over the place. Plus, I got like an actual entree and not like just taco.
So it sounds like you just needed a bib, and you could have watched Bleach.
Yeah, you're right. I need a bro bib.
Yeah, exactly. Just get yourself you don't even need like a fancy one. Just some paper towels down the front of your shirt. All's good.
Yeah.
Just make sure you put your keyboard back so that you don't like get any splatter.
Right.
It's always back. It's always all the way back anyway.
All right, good job. Unless it's your work keyboard, fuck that thing.
Yeah.
Fuck this thing. I hate my work keyboard.
But anyway, Rich, what's on the agenda?
So me and Cobb spent some time in New York for Comic-Con this weekend. We all watched Midsommar, however you pronounce it. Then Cobb watched Hellraiser. I watched Werewolf by night. I don't know if Cobb had a chance to.
I did not.
No, I did. So yeah, that's really going to be the show.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So, Rich, being that you haven't been to a New York Comic-Con in...
Ever.
You went like 15 years ago.
I went to like the very first one where it was New York Comic-Con and Anime Festival at the same time. One badge got you tickets to both conventions. Like, that was like the very first Comic-Con.
It was like, it was the first 5 years they did it.
Yeah. Yeah, my God, is that place packed?
Yeah, it was... And even talking to some people, like, down in Artist Alley, it was significantly busier than, like, it has been before. On, like, days that you wouldn't expect it. From what a bunch of people were saying that I talked to, Friday was actually the lightest day, which tracks with what I saw, because I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday was by far the easiest day to walk around. Saturday was bad, but Sunday actually seemed worse than Saturday.
Sunday felt a little worse depending on where you were. Like, I was down in the Artist Alley for a while, and it didn't seem too bad. but like going up onto the show floor, even at like 3 o'clock, it was obnoxious. Especially near the front, like where everything was.
Yeah,
but like on
the entryways are always like overly crowded.
Like on Saturday, it was super crowded everywhere. But like as the day went on, the crowd dispersed more from the entryways to the further areas. Whereas on Sunday, it was just literally crowds all over the entryways and like kind of open everywhere else. It felt.
Yeah, and I think Saturday they also had more of the big panels happening all the way upstairs. So you actually had a lot of people were kind of away from the show floor and Artist Alley. We noticed on Sunday though, because Erica came with me. Artist Alley at certain points you couldn't even walk around. Like most years on Sunday you can walk around Artist Alley and easily see tables. That was not the case this year. We could barely like actually get a chance to look at anything. And in certain cases, and this is always an issue at conventions, like they need to get better about positioning high profile people.
Because they had like Donnie Cates and
Ryan Stegman were positioned well. They were on an end.
But like they had somebody. I was in line with a buddy on Sunday. He wanted to get Donnie Cates' autograph. And the lines for Donnie Cates and whoever else was near, like not Stegman, but somebody else, was like 2 booths down. They had combined both lines into one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like they didn't separate the lines or whatever. I think it was, I can't remember who it was.
Because Cates and Stegman tend to sign together. And then an aisle over in like the same spot, just one over, was Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, who usually sign together. And like they were on end spots, which generally like the lines become a little more manageable that way. They put Jim Lee literally in his own little room. Like he had that like blocked off square in the back. But then you had Mark Silvestri, who is one of the founders of Image Comics and is doing his first DC work in like 20 years. Next month he's doing a Batman book. Yeah. That they put him in the middle of one of the rows. Like, so his line was so long on Sunday, it covered every single table, like, down the row next to him, that you couldn't get near any of them.
Like, it just, I don't know, it seemed like there was a lot of problems with the organization, in my opinion. Like, I understand you keep those artists down there in the Artist Alley, because that's what they're there for, but, like, for the big name artists that are down there, you really should have given them like maybe their own section or maybe even their own autograph section, because it's just even if I would have waited on Saturday to get the autograph from Claudio and Chandra, I would have just been waiting in the hall, just in the main hall, waiting in line to get the autograph. And it's like I'm waiting in line and where people are trying to walk by me and walk around me and like see other booths that I'd be covering up. And I'm just like, that's one of the reasons why I decided not to get their autograph. Because it's like, it's inconvenient.
I mean, that is always how conventions do it. Especially like at New York Comic Con, they do the split floor where like their like main hall is like the show floor and then Artist Alley is downstairs. And then they have like the autograph area where it's like all the like celebrities and wrestlers and shit like that. They did actually lay out the show floor better this year. When you get towards like the far right hand side, like where it's all just like kind of like the small booth selling like random shit. In previous years, they have been much closer together. Like they were still close, like aisle wise. Like the aisles were much narrower. They were still pretty narrow, but you could actually still get down them when there were a lot of people in them. In past years, we've had to just completely skip those aisles because they were barely big enough for one row of people to walk down, and you'd have two-way traffic with people that just stop and stare. Because people at conventions are just, they're the dumbest motherfuckers I have ever seen in my life. Like
I can't tell you how many times I said stop stopping on the convention floor this weekend.
Like they literally have like signs that ask people not to do that. Because it's one thing if you're stopping to look at something, you move into their thing. I had one person in Artist Alley walk in front, like literally cut in front of me and then stop walking to stare at something. And like he was 5 feet away from the booth, and there was nobody in front of him. He just stopped in the middle to stare. And I'm like, dude, move out of the fucking way.
There was, on Saturday, me and you talked about this a little bit. There was this awesome Samus cosplayer. Like, she had the light-up helmet and everything. Like, it was Samus.
I've never heard it said that way. I like it.
But, like, it was fantastic. Light-up helmet and everything. And,
yeah, Drew, just to give you an idea, it looks so much like Samus out of Metroid. You know, in some of the more modern games when they would do like a close up on her face and you'd kind of see her eyes behind it, but it would have that weird sort of glow. They managed to do that. Like I don't know whether they had like an LED or if it was just the way the light was hitting like the green like plastic they had in the helmet, but like it had that weird glow on her features that made it look almost like a cartoon character underneath.
Neat.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You do know it is Samus, right?
I have never heard it said that way.
It's not Samus. There's no E to make the A an A. It's Samus. And if you play Smash Bros. And you pick her, it says Samus.
I don't play Smash Brothers, so I've literally never heard the name said out loud by anybody with authority.
Well, just letting you know. It's Samus, not Samus.
Also,
but
the E thing on the end doesn't count when it was made up by a Japanese person.
Also, that's not an explicit rule for words.
The English just like I before E except after C is not an explicit rule.
Yeah, exactly. English language is stupid. Like we were joking about it over the weekend. I forget how it came up. Evil. You said something about evil. I'm like, yeah, but that's also vile and live and live. Yeah. And you looked at me. You're just like, I fucking hate that.
Yeah. And that we were also talking about the town Metuchen because it's just a stupid name.
Right.
But so the Samus, they're coming off an escalator, and I'm sitting there. I just gotten done eating lunch. I was relaxing for a bit, and they're coming off the escalator that I'm sitting next to, and like 10 people are like, "Oh my god, I need a picture in front of the fucking escalator." And she doesn't say, "All right, let's move over here." No, okay, puts the helmet on, puts the gun out, and stands there in front of in the way of people that are on these moving stairs coming down towards her. And I'm just like, get away from the escalator, you dumbasses.
Yeah.
Like, there were multiple times that I had to, like, bump into people because they stopped at the top of the escalator. I'm like, get out of the way. Just keep walking. Doesn't matter where you're walking to. Just keep walking and find your way when you can.
Yeah, so this year was fine. So, did you go upstairs to where because you went to the lava panel on Saturday. So
yeah, I did end up going to lava panel.
So that whole section, like that escalator that you went up, that's new.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just finished that construction like this past year. That area has never been opened before. And for quite a few years, Artist Alley was actually at the other end of the downstairs in a much smaller space because they were doing all this construction. So like all the downstairs stuff kind of got like shuffled around a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But the one year, Artist Alley was basically like, it started at the bottom of the escalator. So there were points where it just gets crowded. It's not so much people stopping in front of the escalator. There was just nowhere to go. And then you'd have people stuck on the escalator as it was pushing them forward. And then actually Anime NYC, I forget if it was last year or the year before. I think it was last year. You know how, so for New York, your bag checks were like outside. Like once you crossed over into like the convention center area, you could go to anywhere in the building or in that little like outdoor enclosed area.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were there. You didn't have to check in or anything. Anime NYC had you check in at like the gate, the doors basically like that. But then they were doing bag checks inside to go onto the show floor and go into Artist Alley, like 2 separate bag checks. So anytime you left one and went into the other, you had to do another bag check.
That's stupid.
Only Artist Alley was also at the bottom of an escalator. So you'd get off the escalator and immediately hit a bag check. And that caused the backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Anime NYC did everything wrong last year, but they very quickly, like, started to course correct and, like, put out, like, notice. Like first thing Friday, they're like, they didn't say it like this, but they basically said, we fucked up. We are working to, like, get this right for the rest of the weekend, and we will have it, like, we will have a better process for next year's show.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I have to say, for being the first time there in 10, 15 years, whatever. My God, was there not a lot to do.
There were far less panels worth going to than there ever have been. So in previous years, I've spent at least 1 to 2 hours a day going to panels because there was interesting shit to go see. Whether it was like TV show or movie premieres or like spotlights on like comic book creators or what have you.
Yeah.
This year, like there were very few of them. A lot of them ran at the same time. So like you basically had to decide like, do you want to go see this person talk or do you want to go see this person talk? And it was generally like multiple like fairly big name creators. And then all of the big stuff was reservations before the show that they completely botched. So Drew.
Yeah.
Get this. So in order to go to a panel in one of their 2 main theaters, like for either theater, you had to do an online reservation.
Okay.
They tried opening those reservations the Tuesday before, like the week before Comic-Con. So it started this past Thursday. They opened reservations the Tuesday, like the week before.
Gotcha.
So 9 days early.
Uh-huh.
And the system completely crashed.
Of course it did.
So then they reopened them on Thursday through a different platform. Every reservation was gone within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They opened reservations at 1 o'clock on a Thursday fucking afternoon. And then you could only get into any of those panels if you had made those reservations. So there was no chance of just going to the show and like heading upstairs like an hour early and like queuing for it like you normally would. Like, yes, you'd lose an hour of the show, but there was nothing to fucking do other than these panels that you couldn't get into.
And my biggest problem is there was generally a good half-hour break from the end of panels to the beginning of panels the entire weekend. So if you were to go through, if you were to go through your whole like Comic-Con app, if you ran to a panel if you watched the DC's Superman panel at 1:45 to 2:45, there was a 15-minute break that there were no panels or anything going on at that time.
Yeah, they normally stagger them so that like there are other panels happening in other rooms, but this year they seem to have them all run almost at the same time. And the buffers are good. It's usually like a 15 to 30 minute buffer because those panels always run over. Like whether it's people getting there late or like just like whatever was happening in the panel just runs a little bit longer than they expected, like they give them a buffer. And this year, rather than having it where like, panel 1 ends at 1:30 in this room, but there's another panel starting at 1:45 in the room 3 doors down. No, it's like everything starts at 2 o'clock. So everything that ended at 1:30, so you just have a half hour to get to the next room instead of being able to just like bounce to another panel.
So it's like, I'm Saturday at 4 o'clock. The Saga Strikes Back and the George Lucas Talk Show panel ended at 4. The Star Wars of the High Republic Returns and the Rise of YA graphic novels ended at 4:15. The next panel didn't start until 4:30. And there were 2 panels that started then, and then 2 panels that started 15 minutes after. So, depending on what panel you ended, you could have anywhere between a half hour to 45-minute wait between another panel. And no panels in between to stop in and just hang out and maybe see what's going on. Yeah. Which I think is just kind of poor planning.
No, it is. Like, they really did a poor job scheduling stuff this year, but they improved things like getting into the building, and the general floor layout was better in most cases. But their staff was not enforcing anything. And you couldn't find staff on the show floor. Like,
no. I would occasionally see staff on the ends of escalators holding out face masks, but not telling people they needed to put them on.
Yeah, even though there were signs that said it was required, at least half the people in there were not wearing masks. And then at one point, when I was waiting for one panel on, I believe it was Friday, there was nobody in staff stopping people from basically cutting in line. Because like the queue for these rooms gets really big, but the room's very large, so like you can actually like fit an amount of people. But they had like roped off queues for each room, and there were people that were just walking down the side of it and just cutting into the front to walk right into the room, and there was nobody stopping them from doing it.
And then because of like the issues with like the Empire Stage where you had to reserve your spot, like I wanted to go see the Bleach premiere there. That was my main reason for going on Saturday. but because I missed that reservation, I was like, I could just go up there and see if maybe I can get in, but if I can't get in, I just wasted an hour waiting in line for nothing. Like, I could be doing something else. I could be maybe checking out other panels, but the thing is, at the time that I could have been waiting in line, there weren't really any panels going on, so I should have just done that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it was like, there was it was like few and far between at times. Like, anytime I was trying to find something to do, there was nothing going on. And I was like, it's also, the app itself is really bad. And it was hard for me to figure out actually what the hell was going on.
Yeah, they really fucked that app up this year, where like when you went to like the panels or whatever it was, and it showed you all of the autograph sessions too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
which, like, even on the app, you could go to the app and they have an autograph section in the app. They have a photos and autos section in the app that you can get all that information on. But when you go into the panels, it also has all the photos and autograph sessions.
Yeah, and it's funny. So if you click on like a person, though, the person's bio does not show you what days they'd be there. It shows you if they're on a panel, but if they have like scheduled autograph sessions, those were not on there. You had to go into the schedule to find those. And it's like, this is totally useless. Like, the website is actually more useful because you can at least see like when the person is going to be there.
Yeah.
Because like, so like the one author that I got the book signed from, had I not looked on the website said he was only there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So like, knowing that, I knew he wouldn't be there Sunday, so Saturday was the only chance to get the book signed.
Yeah.
And it just happened that like I got lucky enough that he finished up his panel and he's just like, they told me I could go an extra half hour, but like I'm just gonna go sign books a half hour early instead. So like, we're gonna have like an extra half hour of signing. So if you didn't get here early enough to get a ticket, just like head down to my booth and tell them I sent you. And hopefully it doesn't cause like people working the booth too much trouble. Please, it was basically, please be nice to them. I'm sending a whole bunch of people down there unannounced.
Yeah.
And like the people at his booth were very cool about it. It's a shame. Like there was one person before me that got there that like was asking somebody at the table like the same question, and like basically got sent like turned away because like they just didn't know anything about it. And I went up, I'm like, hey, I just came from the panel. Here's exactly what he said. And she just looked at me, and then two other people came up behind me, and they're just like, yeah, no, like we're here for the same thing. And she just looked around. She's just like, okay, it's one of those days, and just like led us to the side and said, stand here, just wait here. And just started the line. And yeah, he came down and just started signing books.
Yeah. The main show floor, though, there was a lot of really cool booths. The Dragon Ball booth was awesome. Was it the Viz Media that had the, was it Viz? Or was it Bandai Namco that had the Demogorgon?
I think that was
sweet.
Bandai, because the Viz booth had the Bleach thing on the side.
Yeah, Viz was just Bleach. Viz wasn't all that great. I mean, it's cool to see that Bleach mural, but like it wasn't really all that fancy or anything. And then you got to see Luffy twerking all the way back at the One Piece booth.
There was a lot of One Piece at a comic convention.
There was three One Piece booths at this convention.
Yeah, so
because there was for the game. I guess there was like a new movie coming out.
Yeah, so they took over Times Square with movie posters, like on like all the big billboard screens. Yeah, at some point, I think it was on Saturday, all of those screens were themed for the new One Piece movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 25th anniversary of the series this year too.
Okay,
so
makes sense.
It's both the 25th anniversary and like their new theatrical movie came out in Japan, I think, over the summer, and it's about to release in America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the longest running shonen, I think.
Yeah. And it just kind of shows that like New York Comic Con, and me and you were talking about this, like Comic Con in general, but New York Comic Con is more of a pop culture convention anymore. There was a lot more anime than anything else in this convention hall.
Anime and Funko Pops.
There were Funko Pop dealers, but there was only one Funko booth. There was one, like there were a few dealers that had Funko Pops, and that's just because, like, Midtown would have Funko Pops, or any comic shops would have Funko Pops. That's why those dealers would have them.
There were at least 30 booths that sold almost nothing but Funko Pops.
I didn't really see that. I will be 100% honest. I was not looking for Funko Pops. I'm not going to a convention to look for Funko Pops.
Also, the eBay booth exclusively sold Funko Pops.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just really surprised there was a fucking eBay booth. Like, eBay booth, of all things.
I'm surprised there wasn't, there's usually, like, an insurance one there, and some sort of phone company.
Mm-hmm. There was, they had a Titans booth, like the HBO Max show, Titans.
Yeah.
Where you could, like, get your picture taken like you're in Star Labs.
Yeah, they had a lot of, I guess you'd put, like photo opportunity booths.
Yeah, interactive or photo booths, for sure. But it's just, like, I spent most of the weekend by myself, so I didn't really have anybody to do a lot of these things with, and I just really didn't feel like doing some of the things. I made a bad choice and wore bad shoes on Saturday, and I was just dying near the end of it. Plus, since I didn't have any panels to go to, I didn't have anywhere to sit all day. So I was just like, I was having a rough time at it by the end of Saturday. Really rough time.
You really were. You were not walking great.
No. And then it's Sunday morning. I still wasn't doing all that great, but I was able to find one of my ankle braces, or compression ankle braces, that I was able to put on one of my ankles, and it really helped me. Plus, I wore better shoes. I actually woke up early enough to clean my lawn care shoes a little bit, so that they're not just covered in dirt and grime, and are at least a little bit just clean.
Nice.
And I wore those, and it actually helped me out big time. But like, I don't know why I was expecting it to not be. I knew it was going to be crowded, but I wasn't expecting that level of crowded.
Yeah, no, I mean, that Saturdays are always that crowded. That's why I usually don't do Saturdays. I usually do Friday and Sunday. Like, I go up Friday by myself, and then Erica and I go on Sunday. And both of the days are usually manageable. Like, you can get in and see stuff. There are, like, peaks on Sunday, usually, where, like, the show floor's a little too much to, like, deal with.
Yeah.
But at that point, we usually either go get food or go downstairs in the artist alley. And, like, that's easy to get around. This year, like, Sunday was worse than Saturday at some points.
Yeah.
Like, we just full-on left at, like, 1 o'clock, I think, and we went and got food outside of the convention, which we don't normally do. But it was like, all the lines were too long, there wasn't going to be anywhere to sit down to eat, and everything was just so crowded. We were just like, let's just get out of here for, like, an hour and, like, breathe, and then go back. But real quick, Drew, do you want to hear the funniest thing that happened at Comic-Con all weekend?
Sure.
All right. So Sunday morning, Erica and I we're on the road. We're just pulling on the 295 at the exit near, like, where the Swiss Farms and stuff is. Or that's not a Swiss Farms. What is that fucking place called? The place that does chicken?
Oh, the
Royal Farms.
Royal Farms. Yeah.
So we're pulling onto the 295 exit there, and there's a fucking blue car in front of us, and it's Richie. and we're driving, we get on the 295, and then Erica gets a message from Richie, I forgot my badge. I have to go home and get my badge.
I was so mad because it was after we passed Black Horse Pike. If it was before Black Horse Pike, I would have made the train that you guys took. For sure, I would have made that train. But because it was after Black Horse Pike, I had to get off in whatever that area is, the next exit.
It's White Horse Pike, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I had to get off at White Horse Pike, go all the way down Browning Road to get home, to pick up my badge, to then get back on. So it added 20 minutes to my travel, having to drive back and then get back up there. And then by the time I actually got to Hamilton train station, I was like, all right, I'm only 20 minutes like behind us. By the time this train will go, I'll be a half hour behind. This is like a 10:05 train or whatever I was gonna make. That train is fucking 15 minutes delayed.
Oh, that sucks.
Of
I didn't know
course.
that part.
Yeah. It showed up at like 10:20 something. The next train was 10:27. But it was like, this is the 10:05 train to New York and blah, blah, blah. And I considered not grabbing that train and waiting until the next one. Because it would have been less crowded.
So I've actually done that before. Like, I've checked, if you check the schedule, sometimes those, like, well, no, because they were probably on the same track, so it wouldn't have mattered. Never mind. Sometimes you'll get the train that's, like, the full local versus, like, the partial local. And the partial local is, like, 15 minutes faster.
Mm-hmm.
But odds are the other train was probably delayed too.
Maybe. I don't really know. I don't know why there was the delay, but like that train, I felt like we were packed in like sardines. Once we reached like Elizabeth, there were people standing for 45 minutes to get into New York.
Yep, that's
it. I was glad I had a seat, but like it was so loaded. I'm like, I should have just checked to see the schedule to see if the 10:27 train is on time or not, and if so, I should have just grabbed the 10:27 train, and I would have been a lot more comfortable, just personally comfortable, not physically comfortable, and probably would have gotten a double-decker train instead of the shitty-ass fucking old-ass trains that I don't understand why they still have on these fucking tracks.
I got so many of them this weekend.
It was, I mean, I lucked out, and it was my train home or our train home on Saturday, my train there on Sunday were the old ones, and my train back was one of the new double-decker ones. So it wasn't as I was still crowded in, but it wasn't as crowded.
Yeah, and I only
had a little bit more comfortable.
I only had to pay for like 2 train tickets all weekend.
This is actually kind of like a critique on New York Comic Con. I had tickets for Saturday and Sunday. The only reason I really went on Sunday is because they didn't punch my ticket for the train up. And so I had a free train ride up to New York.
Yeah.
Like, I had done everything I needed to do at New York Comic Con in 5 hours. Because there wasn't really much to do. And since I couldn't get into the big panels because I missed the reservation, I couldn't go to the Winchester's panel or anything like that. So I ended up going just for Lava and coming home.
Which,
that's it.
If that Lava panel was anything like the one I saw before, like, it's at least a fun time.
It was a good time, and I'm not disappointed about that. And I also got a chance to meet some friends that I met through streaming, that were there as well. So, like, it was a redeemable day, but I ended up not even eating dinner on Sunday, or not even eating while up there. I left Jersey with eating 3 hash browns from Wawa and some energy bars that I didn't feel comfortable eating at all throughout the entire day because I was so close to people. I didn't want to take my mask off. So they just sat there in my bag all day until like maybe at one point as I was walking outside or when I got to my car at Hamilton, I ate it. So from like 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, I had nothing to eat.
Dude, so a panel I went to on Friday, like pretty much packed. Like there weren't really any seats not taken. Guy 2 seats down from me at one point is sitting there, opens up his bag, pulls out a fucking peach, and just starts going to town on this fucking peach sitting in his seat. Which is just peaches are one of the grossest fucking fruits you can be near somebody eating. They're just wet and slimy.
It is, yeah. Yeah, peaches are one of the worst fruits to experience somebody else eating. Yes, they are one of the best fruits to eat because by all means.
You can't.
They're delicious.
You can't eat a peach without slurping it because they're just so juicy usually.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finishes that and he starts fucking eating like diner packets of fucking saltine crackers, like the little 2 cracker packs they give you with like your soup at a diner.
Mm-hmm.
He eats 4 of them and he just keeps like opening them and then pushing the whole pack into his mouth. I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and that was the other thing. Like, well, while I was watching Lava, I was like, you know what, I could probably open up. I had enough space around me that like I felt comfortable enough. I'm like, I could probably have one of these energy bars or whatever. But I was like, I didn't want to make noise. I don't want to make noise while they were on doing their set and everything. So I was just like, no, I'm not that hungry. And then on my way, as I decided to leave, I think it was like 3 o'clock when I left the convention center. And I look on the schedule for the train. And it's like the next train departs at 3:15. The next one after that is 3:52.
Yeah, they become like 40 minutes apart on weekends.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
So I basically booked it. And like, I gave myself shin splints moving as fast as I was moving. Like, my shins were killing me and burning by the time I got to the train station. I was like, they're last call boarding on this train. I need to get there. So I just run to the train and I sit down and I'm like, I don't want to pay that extra $5. I download the train app, create an account, log in, and buy my ticket on the app.
Nice.
To save the $5. And I was like, I got it. I'm good. I made it.
It would have been funny, though, if they just didn't come around and check tickets.
I thought about it. Because also, you don't technically have to activate your ticket until they're coming to check them. So you could just buy the ticket and sit there and hold on to it until they come around to check it and then click activate. So I could have just bought it and held it, and then it'd just be sitting in my account until the next time I need it, if they didn't check it. But they did check it.
Oh,
they were on top of it on the way home.
Yeah, we took like a 5:00 train, which was very crowded. So they did not come around on that train. Mm-hmm. So we have 2 return trips from New York that we can use later on.
Nice.
But like, while it was crowded, like, there's always cool stuff to see on the show floor if like you can actually get around it. Artist Alley was a bit of a bummer because it was so crowded and there were so many spots where giant lines were forming for people that you couldn't see tables. But like, we stopped and talked to like the couple of people we know that were like at tables, and like, while they were exhausted, they all said that like they had really good weekends as far as like sales go. Like, and like the one guy, he's actually with like the comic sketch something or other. Like, it's basically an organization that like helps like get tables for like comic book creators. But like they also get like a portion of like the money made. So like the downside to working with, like, they take care of all the logistics for you and like set up your table and your booth and like do all your transactions for you, so you don't have to worry about like Square readers and all that shit. But they take a percentage of it, so you generally have to like up your costs. And they also like mandate like a signing fee. So like that group in particular, it's $5 for like just a book to be signed, $10 if you're going to have it CGC graded, which like really sucks. But
yeah.
But one of the guys we know, like he works with them, and like his table is in like the run. He was in the same row as Stegman and Cates, but like on like the opposite end of it. And he was saying that apparently his original spot was next to Mark Silvestri, and he fought it. And he's like, I refuse to sit there. No one is going to see my table. Like, it's nothing against him, but like, there's going to be a big line, and no one will see my stuff. Yeah. Like, this will have been a wasted weekend for me.
Yeah. And
judging by that line, he wasn't wrong. I have no idea who was sitting within 15 tables of Silvestri.
Yeah. There was some really cool art from just like the non-professional artists down there as well. Yeah. It was a really cool spot to go check out.
Most of them are professional artists.
But like, I think there are some that are just like people that like because I know most of the art down there is like the artists that do the comic art and things like that. But there are some like
indie artists, but like,
yeah,
I'm not trying to like attack you, but like, they are still professional artists. Like, 9 times out of 10, that is their job. They're not working on DC and Marvel books, but odds are like they're either doing commercial artwork somewhere, or they're doing their own indie stuff, or like working with Image or something like that. You don't go to these things, so like the difference to you probably isn't that big, but like, they're all professionals down there. Just at just different degrees of like notoriety.
Yeah. What I meant by non-professional is like more indie and not like signed on with the comic companies.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that was a cool spot to check out. I bought a couple of kaiju glamour shot prints from somebody.
They were cool.
It's just they're really cool. I actually got his Patreon, and like if you put like $5 a month, you get to see his updates on his glamour shot Patreons or his kaiju glamour shots. It's really neat.
Erica bought a hoodie that is bigger than she is. There was like a booth near like the back that was selling like pajamas and stuff like that, and they were also selling like those giant oversized hoodies. And it had Totoros all over it, and like she didn't want to buy it, and because like she was looking at them, she's like, "Oh, these are neat," but they were $80, and then she saw the Totoro one and she's staring at it, and like she just kind of goes, "Son of a bitch," and like walks over and like hands them her credit card to buy it. Because she did not want to buy an $80 hoodie, but frankly, like it was worth $80. Like, it's very large. It's like fleece on the inside. It's kind of heavy. Like, it actually it's like nice quality. And like when she puts it on, it comes down to like the middle of her shins. So like it legitimately is like almost as tall as she is.
Yeah, I did make one purchase that I don't regret, but I'm mad at myself for buying that and not something else.
The gold
instead.
Shenron.
No, I'm happy with the gold Shenron. I bought one of the event exclusive Gundams that they had in one of the booths.
Oh, like a Gunpla?
No, it's just like it's a figure. It's an action figure Gundam, not a gunplay like build model Gundam. But I bought that after I had purchased. I went to go to the Viz Media booth to buy the 20th anniversary Blu-ray for Bleach, but they had sold out of that the day before, I guess, or earlier on in the day. But they still had the 20th anniversary manga, so I was like, all right, I'll just buy the manga. It's only $10. And this Gundam is $35. So I was like, all right, well, you know what? I didn't spend the $20. I only spent 10, so let's go get that Gundam. When there was a Kamen Rider at that same booth that was also event exclusive, but that was $50. The only reason I didn't buy it the day before was because, oh, it's $50 and I want to get that Blu-ray. But I'm like, man, I should have just spent the extra money and got the Kamen Rider instead of the Gundam.
But Gundam's cooler.
I enjoy Kamen Rider more. Or no, it wasn't Kamen Rider. Why do I keep saying it's Kamen Rider?
Ultraman?
It was Ultraman. I get those mixed up because it's reasonable.
It's not. They're totally different.
No, it's absolutely reasonable to get them confused. But yeah, it's like I was like, I enjoy Ultraman more than I enjoy Gundam. I wanted the Ultraman, but that was $50, and so I didn't buy it initially because of how much it was. I'm like, man, I should have just spent that extra $20 and gotten the thing that I wanted, and not something else that I kind of wanted but didn't fully want. I wanted that Kong statue. Or that Kong figure, but that was $90, and I was like, fuck that, I don't have that kind of money.
Really, what you should have gotten was that $4,000 Hulk statue.
Yeah. That's on the list. Like, that's next time I see it.
It was a really nice statue.
It was. It was. I will complain. I know I said I didn't go for Funko Pops, but the Funko booth, you could not get in at all unless you bought their ticket. And their ticket was $100.
Or had the reservation.
No, like I don't even think you could get in with a reservation. Like, you needed to buy their ticket, which you got a bunch of Funkos with that ticket, but you needed to buy a ticket in order to go in and pick out what you wanted.
So you could definitely get in without the ticket. I saw people doing it, because you could tell the people that had the big Funko bags were the ones that bought the ticket.
Yeah.
Like on Friday especially, they had no line in the like mid-afternoon, so like the people that were standing at like the front side door were just like people walked by and they're like, can we go in? They're just like, yeah, there's no one in here right now, come in. And they were just stepping over the barricade and walking right in.
Yeah, I stopped by a few times. They're like, nope, you can't get in, you have to buy the ticket.
So they probably had reservations that they were full out of, and they had such a big line that they weren't letting anyone else in.
At the times that I was trying to get, like, this was Sunday before I left, so like just before 3, they were sold out of pretty much everything anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's
so like I went and watched their little like screen scroll by to see if there was anything worth trying to get into and get. Nothing that interests me or my buddies, so I was like, I don't even care.
That's fair.
I'm not gonna try.
They
did like open it up to the public on Friday at like 5-ish, but we were already on our way out.
Which, that's usually how that goes. Because I think I actually even saw one of the notifications that, like, it was open for the public on, like, Saturday evening after we left. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
well,
that's what I meant, Saturday, no Friday.
Oh, I thought it happened. I thought you said Sunday for some reason.
No, Saturday.
So, the last thing I wanted to mention, so Saturday I went to 2 panels. One of them, it was 3 authors. It was Brandon Sanderson, Terry Brooks, and Deanna Gabaldon, I think is how you say your last name. She writes the Outlander books. That's like also like a Stars series, I think. And like they're talking at one point, and like the question that like got asked to them was something about like influences and like what got them into writing. And Sanderson says Terry Brooks, because Terry Brooks has been a published author since like the mid 70s. And like said something like genuinely nice about his books. And like Terry Brooks like leans in and goes like, this is unrelated, but like hearing that, I just realized everybody I ever admired is dead.
Oh, no.
And it was just
right.
It was such good timing, and it was so funny because like before that he had been talking about like reading because like he writes like fantasy, and so when he was like growing up in like the 40s and 50s, like they did like fantasy wasn't like big, like Tolkien was like it. So like he had read like a lot of sci-fi and a lot of westerns and a lot of like stuff of the time. And like he had named a bunch of books from that time and like authors who are long dead at this point. So it was just like it was like this perfect like callback and timing to it. That guy was very funny. Like
yeah.
Like he leaned into like he was old and kind of out of touch with things, but like also like still on top of it. It was a good time. Panel, like Q&A panels like that, especially when it's not all audience Q&A, where it's like a spotlight on people and like there's a moderator asking the majority of the questions, are usually fun. It's when it becomes like audience Q&A that it tends to get a little too generic.
I always say my biggest waste of money was that first Baltimore Comic-Con with Stan Lee, because of that panel with Stan Lee where it was just Q&A, and the whole time it was, I grew up reading your comics.
Yeah, no, and that's like everyone gets up and says like the same thing and then asks some question that's been asked a million times. And at least in that panel when they did like the audience Q&A, the moderator stipulated that they had to ask a question that could be answered by all three of them. So that definitely cut back on people asking like or doing that like super like, oh, like your books mean a whole lot to me, like stuff before it. And even like directly after that one, Brandon Sanderson had like a spotlight panel where like he did like an hour Q&A and it was just audience Q&A, and like everyone there generally like they had legitimate questions either like about writing or about like something in universe of the books, and he had like stipulations up front. He's like, don't say spoilers, like just because it's a spotlight panel for me doesn't mean that everybody here has read every one of my books, and he's like, and if you ask a question that I can't answer because of spoilers, you base are you guys familiar with the Marvel No Prize?
No.
Right. So real quick tangent. Back in like the 70s, I guess it was, people would write in like the letter page at the back of a comic, and they would write in with like things that they caught that were mistakes. Like either like generally not typos, but like them saying that like two characters had never met, but they had actually appeared together in like a different series. And what it was when Stan Lee was editor-in-chief, he started giving the Marvel No Prize, which was like, you don't really get anything for catching it, but like you're getting recognition in the back of the letters page by them publishing your letter. And I think back in the day, they actually used to send a little card out that said No Prize on it.
Okay.
So Sanderson basically does that. He has cards that it's read and find out. So it's basically if somebody asks a question and he cannot answer it because of that, he sends them to the back of the room and they get like a nice like printed card that says that on it.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so like one person came up and asked like a very like wasn't like an overly detailed question, but like was semi-complex, and he stopped for a second. He's like, I usually just tell people that like that's a good question, but like I can't answer it. And the guy's like, is that a read and find out? And he's like, it is. And the guy that asked the question got so excited and like ran back to get his card.
I'd be excited about that too.
Yeah,
I would be.
He was the first and only one, and it was like near the end of the Q&A, and like he was very excited.
Nice. We mentioned it a few times. I went and watched Lava. Which, Drew, have you seen Lava?
I've
before?
never even heard of it.
It's loud, annoying, and very annoying is what it stands for.
Yeah, it can, and probably at one point also did stand for live action voice actors, because it's three voice actors that are longtime friends, and they're funny, and they do like a improv comedy set.
Drew, have you watched any of this season of Critical Role with Sarah?
No, I don't even know if she's really been watching Critical Role.
Okay, I thought she had watched this season for some reason.
I forget. Maybe. She might be watching it still. I know she's been watching a lot of Dimension 20, but I don't know how up on Critical Role she's been.
All right, never mind then.
But it is a improv comedy show. I could have swore they had it at PAX last year. Unplugged.
No, because those guys don't really do PAX.
I've seen Lava before. I know that.
So they've probably been at MagFest before, because they all do voice acting in video games too.
Maybe. I don't know. I could have swore they were at PAX last year, but it was a good time. It is very based on the crowd, whether or not it's going to be a great show. Our crowd was kind of a little not that great, in my opinion. They wanted, so they played the game they started off with, or the skit they started off with was "You're late for your panel," where they have to try to figure out who they are based on cues from the other two, on suggestions from the audience.
I saw them do that one.
A lot of people, there was at least once per like audience grab, there was Queen Elizabeth or like somebody else that's dead recently or fairly recently. And it was just like, I think what happened was they got a great reaction from Robbie the first time they said Queen Elizabeth, because they were like, Queen Elizabeth, and he's like, no, she's too busy rotting in hell with her other friends or some shit like that, that it was just like, oh, that's a great one, so now we just gotta keep pushing for Queen Elizabeth. And it was just like, some of the suggestions were just like, this is a little much, like the crowd wasn't working with them, but for the most part, overall, it was a really good time. I enjoyed it. Loud, annoying, very annoying. And they do stream on Twitch on Thursdays. Wednesdays or Thursdays. I think it's Thursdays. But honestly, Thursdays, a lot of the big people stream. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was Thursdays.
Yeah, when I saw that, I think I saw them at Anime NYC last year. And they did like a dating game.
Yeah, they did the dating game.
And I forget all of the people that they had up there. But they had one couple that, like, the guy was dressed like Gogeta, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say his girlfriend may have been dressed like Bulma or something like that. And then they had these other two girls that requested to actually role play as two characters from like an anime. So they were not themselves. They were actually role playing as characters from like a show they liked.
Okay.
And like they really leaned into like their characters. It was very funny.
Mm-hmm. They had one of the couples they had up there. It was the girlfriend didn't have like any nerd knowledge, and so Robbie's like, is she a normie? And he's like, yeah, she is. He's like, all right, we'll work with you. We'll figure it out. And it was like, we'll get multiple answers for you that should work. This way, if she can't find the nerdiness, she can at least answer her way. And it was, yeah, that was a fun little segment that they did.
Yeah, like it. You're right though. Like with the wrong crowd, it doesn't necessarily work. But like they at least really try, and like they try to have a good time with everybody.
Yeah.
But do you guys want to move on and talk about Midsommar?
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk about Midsommar.
So this week for book club we watched the 2019 folk horror film Midsommar.
Was it horror though?
It is listed as folk horror online. Yeah. Apparently,
I wasn't scared at all.
No. So I read about it a little bit. So the director of this is the same guy that directed Hereditary, which also considered a horror movie, but not really all that scary. Just kind of creepy at the end. And this one has a similar like creepy vibe as like throughout the whole movie. Like it's not scary. It's just like there's something wrong with these people, and it's creepy.
At most, I would like. I get what you're saying, and this might be a little nitpicky, but at most, I would say uncomfortable and less creepy.
Well, creepy and like, I'm thinking creepy and uncomfortable as like synonyms to each other. Like I'm not scared of them; they're just creeps. Like
yeah, I'll be 100% honest. I didn't like this movie at all.
Me either. No, this movie was.
I was like halfway through it. I'm like, these guys are not enjoying this.
No,
nothing happened.
It was an incredibly slow burn, like unexpectedly slow.
2.5 hours.
It's way fucking too long.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't realize I didn't look at how long it was until I started it. I'm like, this is much longer than I thought it was going to be.
Like I'm all for a long movie. I love a long movie, but like there has to be stuff that happens, and this movie, like. Yeah, when I say nothing, stuff obviously happens, otherwise it wouldn't be a movie. But, like, literally, you get weirdness in the first 10 minutes with her whole family dynamic, and I'm gonna complain. The audio, it might just be my TV, though, but the audio syncing for this movie was so bad. At some points, it'd just be super quiet, and then she'd start to cry, and it blew my eardrums out.
I never had that trouble.
I had times where it was either way too loud or just loud enough, and like I had to adjust the volume multiple times throughout the movie because it was just way too loud sometimes.
Did you have any trouble with your volume, Drew?
Not that I remember.
Yes, sir. Rich, it's probably just your TV.
It's probably just my TV, but like when she at the beginning of the movie, when like you find out what happened to her family, and like he gets to her and she starts crying, that like knocked me off my couch. It was so fucking loud. And, like, I wasn't listening to it very loud. The whole rest of the movie wasn't loud until she starts crying. And it just, like, and there were a few other instances where, like, audio just didn't work right. Probably my TV, I know, but, like, still, there were times that it's just like...
Yeah,
I don't know.
I had zero audio issues at all.
Like, I thought some of the visual stuff was cool, especially when they were, like, doing the drugs and whatnot. Like, the screen would actually be moving and, like, oh, not the screen, but, like, the background and stuff would be waving and moving around.
The scene where when they first get to the place and they all take shrooms or whatever it was, and and she thinks the grass is growing out of her hand, I thought that looked really good. I thought later on in the movie when she thought it was growing out of her feet looked very fake. Like, it almost looks like she was wearing socks that just had grass on them.
Mm-hmm. I thought the hand looked bad. I really thought the hand looked really bad. But, like, the effects of, like, during the whole May Queen ceremony and stuff, where, like, you could see everything around, like, pulsing in different areas of the... Like, it was cool. Some of these effects and some of the things they did were cool. But just 2.5 hours of nothing.
Yeah.
See, I enjoyed it. I will say that, like, reading up about it a little bit, it apparently was originally supposed to be, like, a slasher movie. Mm-hmm. And
that's what I was expecting.
And it's Ari Aster is the director. Apparently, like he didn't write it, but or maybe he may have, like, rewritten it or something like that. I don't exactly know that for sure. But, yeah, so, like, it was originally, like, pitched as, like, a slasher movie and then turned into, like, this weird kind of, like, psychological... It was more like psychological thriller than horror movie in a lot of ways. Because there was just always that sense of, like, something is going to happen, but it never does until, like, the very end of the movie.
I mean, if you go into it knowing absolutely nothing, I completely disagree that there was a feeling of something is going to happen until the last, like, 8 minutes of the movie. Like, when, or maybe a little longer than that, but till the one friend disappears, like, the first hour of the movie, it's like, is anything going to happen?
I don't know,
I'm
like,
waiting for something to happen.
It was...
But until, like, Simon was the guy's name, right? Like,
no, I get what you're saying, but I would say a little bit sooner than that. Once the people jumped off the ledge, that's when you're like, all right, stuff's gonna happen.
Well, that was the scene before that.
Like, I know. But I'm just like, that's an hour in, and you still have an hour and a half left of the movie.
See, I don't know. I was getting, like, vibes of, like, these people are creepy, basically right from the minute they got to the field that they were in.
But is that because we knew it was a horror movie? Like,
I mean,
what I'm saying is, if you go in not even expecting a horror movie, like, I don't know that anything gives off any vibe of anything is going to happen until the scene where the two elders jump off the cliff. Like,
I don't know, just the vibe from some of the people in that village just seemed off, I think is also the thing.
But that's the point, though, is because it's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
That's what they were trying to push, is like, these people seem a little different. Well, they are, because if you go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, they're off. They're, like, not that they're off. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Amish people or anything like that, but, like,
it sounds
they're
like
different. It's a different way of life. Those people in Midsommar are basically the equivalent of the Amish people in Lancaster, Pennsylvania to us.
No, like,
and
they definitely came off more cultish than the Amish do. And I think that was the thing I was getting. Like, I was getting, like, real heavy cult vibes from everybody. So, like, I just... Because I didn't know going in, if it was, like, one person was, like a monster, basically, or if it was, like, the whole place. And, like, I just immediately started getting, like, oh, this whole place is, like, a giant cult, and there's going to be something weird.
And they certainly did try to put you through the ringer of trying to figure out what is gonna happen and what's going on. They really tried to make it seem like at one point the deformed person was going to be the bad guy, essentially. Like, they only showed them a handful of times, but when they showed them, they kind of tried to make it seem as if something's nefarious with that person. But overall, like, like I said, I got a level of discomfort when it came to the people, but mostly because I was looking at it in a similar sense to the main characters in an anthropological point of this is a different culture, so it's going to be weird to me.
Yeah,
like,
which I mean that's fair.
I'm like I didn't get culty feels, not at least until they fucking jumped off the fucking ledge.
Yeah, I just so some of the like the things they said even before that, and like some of the stuff they showed just felt very culty. Like, it felt less like this is a different like country and more like these people are like their own special brand of crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like honestly, I thought that the friend that was from there, I honestly thought that he was just going to be like the villain at the end, just slowly killing everybody. And like didn't like before they got to the place because he just kind of seemed creepy at the apartment. And I thought it was all going to be like something to get the girl, and then it turned out to not really be that per se.
I mean, it was though. It was very suspicious, and it was
no, it was
what he did to like he made sure because they kind of explained it at the end. If I'm understanding correctly, the reason he didn't have to sacrifice himself at the end was because she won the May festival. She was the May Queen.
Well, and he brought four sacrifices, basically.
Well, he brought 4 sacrifices, and she won May Queen, so he didn't have to be one of any of the sacrifices. But they had to do X amount from their own land and X amount from outside, and it's just like...
So I didn't get that he would have had to have been a sacrifice, because they said that you will be rewarded, which I took that as to mean like he would get like... He would have some sort of privileged place that year for being the person that both brought them that year's May Queen and brought them 4 outside sacrifices.
Mm-hmm. And also the reward, he's gonna marry her, obviously. Like, I got that the entire time he wanted to hook up with the main character.
I mean, yeah, I mean...
Like, he wanted her.
Yeah, like, that's why he kept, like, very subtly trying to, like... And, like, not subtly, but, like, you could tell he thought he was being subtle. Mm-hmm. Like, trying to get close to her and stuff like that.
But, like, he also hid that very well by, like, on her birthday, giving her the gift, but then going to the boyfriend being like, hey, it's her birthday, don't forget.
But then that, like, at the same time, that also still makes the boyfriend look like an asshole. Mm-hmm. Because, like, the only person that acknowledged her birthday was that guy, and now all of a sudden, like, he remembers.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, his excuse was bad. I thought your birthday was yesterday. I'm like, bitch, if you knew her birthday was yesterday, why didn't you wish her a happy birthday?
Right.
Like, you should have said, I thought your birthday was tomorrow.
100%. Like, I think this is also part of the reason why I don't really care a lot about the movie, was the main cast, with the exception of... That's Florence Pugh, right?
Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah, the main cast, with the exception of Florence Pugh, were all shitty fucking people. And I don't fucking care about any of them.
I don't necessarily agree with that. The boyfriend sucked.
The boyfriend sucked. The
Swedish friend turned out obviously to be a psychopath. The other white dude sucked. But the other guy,
Cheaty was also kind of a shitty person. Because
Cheaty was very much just cheaty and only cared about knowledge and not about anything else. Yeah. But like, it's not like, so he didn't necessarily like, the worst thing he did was trying to take a picture of that book without anyone knowing.
They all gave me like bad vibes from the get-go, like in the whole instance when they were out to dinner at the very
why do you
beginning
think
of the
Cheaty
movie.
ended up in the bad place?
Exactly. But like they all gave me bad vibes from the very beginning, and like I was like, these people are just not they're not bad. They're not It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia main cast bad.
No, but they're supposed to be like 20 something, so like they're like self-centered and only care about themselves.
They're friends shitty characters. Like, they're friends shitty people. And It's Always Sunny shitty people.
But I think the difference is, like, they're still college students, so it's almost like, yeah, you're going to be shitty until you get into the real world, whereas, like, Friends, they were adults and shitty.
They were adults. Yeah, but it's just, like, the way they were like, 100% he should have broken up with her. You can't break up with someone whose parents died, but they should have been broken up a lot sooner than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
he was trying to be nice by, like, and, like, he was going about it in a wrong way, but you could tell, like, he was just trying to not make her life worse.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, but was getting, like bitter because of all the things that he was like offering to give up.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was just bad for everybody, but it's not like her parents just died. Like her sister committed fucking murder-suicide.
Yeah. Like it's after that, it's hard to leave somebody when something like that happens, and you want to stick with them to make sure they're okay and whatnot. But like, they were like, "Oh, dude, you've been dealing with it. You've been on the fence and wanting to leave her for a year." And I'm like, it's you kind of should have done that like 6 months ago. And just the fact that he just didn't care about anything just made me like, yeah, I don't care about this guy. I hope he dies. Mm-hmm. And the Joker, I was like, yeah, I hope he dies.
That wasn't the Joker.
I could have. That wasn't.
That's Will Poulter.
That wasn't.
That's Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I thought that was from Gotham.
No, that's I know who you're thinking of, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. But no, that's Do you know the movie The Millers with Jason Sudeikis?
Yeah.
That's the kid that he like convinces to go on the trip to pick up drugs with him.
Yeah. But like you can see how I can mistake them. They look very similar to each other.
They do have a very similar like facial structure, yeah. And he's got villain eyebrows.
He does. And I'm like, this guy I just don't like at all. Like, he just sucks.
He was super American when he peed on the tree of dead people and then said, I just had to pee. I didn't know. It's just it's a dead tree.
Yeah, and it's just like, I like, not caring about the characters for a movie this long and nothing much really happened. Like, I like the concept of Chidi's character. I don't remember the actor's name. I don't remember his character's name. But we all know he's Chidi from The Good Place.
His character was Josh.
Josh. Like, I like the idea of, like, oh, he's going for, like, his studies. He's going to study and research other cultures. Like, alright, that's cool. That's an interesting take on it. But, like, then he just turns out to be, like, the guy who doesn't respect tradition and doesn't respect boundaries. And then it's like, well, fuck you too, dude. Fuck you. You're now... The instance that he turned on the lead dude and was like, oh, you knew this was my report, and now you're doing it too. You're stealing from me. And instead of like, let's figure this out, I was like, all right, Chidi, you're a shitty dude. Like, the boyfriend's already a shitty dude, but Chidi, you're a shitty dude now too. And then he disrespects boundaries and then gets killed for it. It's just, yeah, none of these people were redeemable that, like, made me really lose interest in caring what happened.
Yeah, I get that. And, like, I don't think this was a great movie. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Hereditary. Like, Hereditary was actually, like, just had a vibe to the whole thing. Was also a very slow burn, and I think that's why I kind of expected it, knowing that it was, like, the same director. But it was not the best horror movie I've seen. Mm-hmm. But that said, what's next on this outline? Oh, Hellraiser. I'll keep this kind of short, because it's just a Hellraiser movie, really. So Netflix, Hulu just released their new version of Hellraiser. It's basically a reboot, because it doesn't seem like anything from before happened in this. Do you guys know anything about the Hellraiser movies?
Nope.
Not really, no.
So, Hellraiser is a movie with Pinhead, in case you didn't know that. And it's basically, in the movie, there's like this puzzle box. When it gets solved, these extra-dimensional beings show up, and they murder people in very violent ways. They are sadomasochists. They actually do not understand the difference between pain and pleasure. So, the whole concept behind the puzzle box is people seek it out and solve it, thinking that they will get either like a wish or all of their desires fulfilled or like something like that. Like, in the very first movie, it was like this douchebag who just wanted to like find new pleasures because he had like done everything that he could conceivably do in our world. And then he literally gets the flesh like ripped from his body. This one, similar idea with the extra dimensional beings, but it's a girl gets convinced by her boyfriend to like try and rob this place, and ends up finding the puzzle box there, and like unintentionally solves a portion of it, and it ends up the way that it fully unlocks is every time you solve like a section of it, a blade pops out of it, and it generally the way you're holding it, it cuts you, and that is what summons the Cenobites, I think that's how you say it, to like basically come hunt you down and kill you. Only her brother finds her passed out outside and it hadn't cut her, and he picks it up and it ends up cutting him. And so then like they take it and kill him. So like the rest of the movie is her trying to like basically figure out what the deal is with the puzzle box, while like other people are like dying throughout it because they keep getting stabbed by the puzzle box. It was interesting. Like I liked it as much as I liked the original. And I'd say like the original is like a solid like 3 horror movie. It's definitely one of those movies where if you didn't see it like back in like the 90s or like late 80s, like basically when you were a kid, I don't think it necessarily has the same like scary vibes to it, because it's not really a scary movie. It is very much just like a gross, creepy movie. But like the Cenobites are like legitimately like scary looking if you're like a child, because they all look like the epitome of like bondage theme, like with like the leather and stuff like that. But then they have like their skin flayed open and peeled back and like pinned to the sides of their heads and like other weird shit like that. That's kind of why Pinhead has all of the fucking nails in his face. Which they did. This actually makes much more sense. So in the original movies, he was never called Pinhead in the original stuff by Clive Barker. That was kind of like the name he was given by like the media and fans that the movies started using with like some of the sequels.
Okay.
In this new one, I also don't think they ever refer to them as Pinhead, but they replace the nails, because in the old movies they're very obviously like flathead nails with actual like sewing pins, like the long like pins that would go in like a pin cushion that have like the little white balls on the end. So like that character is actually a Pinhead now. It's also a woman for the first time. Most of the movies had the same person playing Pinhead up until like 2007 or 8, I think. So like almost 20 years, which, you know, that's up there with Robert Englund.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was interesting. It's not scary, but if like you like the monster like gory movies, it's worth watching, and it's relatively short. I think it was only like an hour and a half, and it's on Hulu. Like it's a Hulu production.
Nice. Okay, yeah. I've seen people talk about that. I've never really cared for a lot of that old school monster stuff, but I've never really watched it either.
Yeah, so I mean, this is, like I said, it's definitely a different take on that monster, like on that whole movie, and it just keeps like the themes. Like I think one of the biggest sort of complaints that like Erica had while we were watching it, in the original, all of the Cenobites, they look like some sort of just like mangled human, essentially. In this new one, they all look way more alien. Because like in the original, like they all wear like leather clothing basically, and just have more of a human look to them. In this one, like other than Pinhead, most of them are naked, but it's not like you see anything. Like they're all just like these like thin, shiny like alien forms with like different like things done to them. Like either they're completely bound together by string, or like their face is sewed shut like down the middle, or they have rods and hoops and stuff stuck all through them. And like it's a weird and creepy aesthetic, but I think it takes a little something away from like the overall vibe. But that might just be me. I did enjoy it though. It was a decent movie. So, Rich.
Nice. Glad you enjoyed it.
Me too. But how was Werewolf by Night?
Werewolf by Night is interesting. It's only about 55 minutes long. And it's yeah, I can't really say much without spoiling it, because like do you know who the main character is or anything?
Hang on. Roll back. I fucked up. What's the next book club?
See, I was trying to figure that out while you were talking about Hellraiser. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to stick with Spoopy, since it's still going to be Halloween when we watch the next one, or if I want to go something maybe slightly more timely. But what did I see? There was a movie that I had in mind that I can't remember what it's called.
And Drew, you remember how this guy told us like a few weeks ago he has a list and he always has something ready?
Uh-huh.
Now I had this thing in my mind, and now I forget what I had in my mind.
No, I do have a list of movies. But this movie that I have on my mind is not on that list. It was brought up to me a couple days ago. I thought I had it on the list, but I didn't actually. It was actually brought up to me like a few months ago to watch. It's got, is it Denzel Washington? Demons, maybe? Hold on, let me just look it up and see if I can, is that it? I don't think that's it. Hold on.
This guy.
It is it. Oh, wow. I didn't think that was it. Let's see, is it available to watch? I mean, it's another Starz subscription movie, so we've already used up all that, haven't we? Unless you guys want to make a new email.
Starz or Showtime?
Starz.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't have a Starz thing.
I mean, you can also rent it on Prime Video and whatnot. All right, so that's not available feasibly. So give me, you know what? What is it called? What is it called? Horror. Yeah, just saw in Netflix. Do we want to do Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? 2019.
I've actually seen that.
Then do we want to do Tremors: Shrieker Island? It's from 2020.
Is it a Tremors sequel?
It's a Tremors movie.
Does it have Kevin Bacon?
Probably not. Michael Gross, John Hader, Caroline, I don't know, Cassie Clare, Michael Douglas. No, it does not have Kevin Bacon.
Drew, you have Peacock, don't you?
Yeah.
The original Tremors appears to be on Peacock.
I mean, I'm always down to watch the original Tremors.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
I mean, I watched it like a year or two ago.
Okay, that's around how long it's been since I saw Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It was like last Halloween, I think we watched it.
But
so I'm actually looking at screen caps for this. I don't think I've ever seen the first Tremors.
You've never seen the first Tremors?
I don't think so.
What, bro?
All right,
That's it. I don't care.
I have seen sequels. I don't think I've ever seen this one.
I don't care, man. We're watching Tremors. They're just, if you've never seen it, we're watching it. That's like one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I never saw the original.
Because it was either going to be a horror movie or we were going to watch the Bleach live-action adaptation movie that came out a while back in 2018.
Yeah, I would definitely rather watch Tremors.
The Bleach live-action one is good, actually. So
is it dubbed?
It's probably dubbed. It's on Netflix.
I mean, that doesn't make it much better. Like, live-action dubbing is always bad. Man, how am I not signed into Netflix on this computer? What the fuck, Netflix? Fine, I'll just pull up my phone. But yeah, I'm down to watch Tremors. Because, like, I apparently have never seen it, and I feel like a fucking asshole.
Yeah, you are. We're watching Tremors, alright? We're watching the original Tremors. On, what'd you say, Peacock?
Yeah, it is on Peacock.
Yeah, I mean, that's... I would watch that just to watch it every day. I was also going to do the movie Cargo, but I know you guys aren't really down for the zombies, but it's not super zombie. But that's a good movie. But I watched that a few years ago, so...
Yeah, like, zombie stuff is just generally not good, I think.
This is a different take. Cargo is a movie about a gentleman who's, I guess, on vacation with his family and his son in, like, Africa when the outbreak happens. Or after the outbreak happens, after a while. And he gets bit, but he has, like, X amount, like, 2 days to get his son to safety. And he's out in the middle of nowhere, and so he spends the time, like, traveling with his son on his back, the cargo on his back, trying to find a tribe and whatnot to take care of his son. It's a really good movie.
It honestly sounds a very average zombie movie.
It's not like, it doesn't lean on the zombies. Like, it's not like, it doesn't lean on, like, zombies are a part of the world. It's similar to, like, Walking Dead first few seasons. It's like, zombies are a part of the world, but it doesn't lean on the zombies. It's just, that is just a part of the world that is there as well.
Yeah, I think The Walking Dead just completely destroyed any interest I had in zombie fiction.
Yeah, I can get that.
Like, because, like, I used to like the old school stuff, like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, even like the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead, I thought was fine. But, like, after however many years of Walking Dead have just permeated pop culture, it's like, I don't ever want to watch another zombie thing if I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, there are very few instances where, like, they are legitimately different.
Yeah.
But okay, so Tremors in 2 weeks on The 27th will be the day that goes live. So yeah, that'll be right before Halloween.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to figure out something spooky.
But anyway, back to Werewolf by Night.
So it's really hard for me to talk about Werewolf by Night without spoiling pretty much the entire thing. Because I'll just ask, Cobb, do you know who the main focal point of Werewolf by Night is about?
Is it about the Werewolf by Night?
I mean, there is a werewolf in it.
What, but is it Jack Russell?
Huh?
Is it Jack Russell?
I
know Elsa Bloodstone is in it. So. I don't know if it's the Jack Russell Werewolf by Night or if it's somebody else.
I mean, I can't remember the werewolf character's name, but like Elsa, that's the thing though. It's the main focal point is Elsa Bloodstone. It is an Elsa feature.
Okay.
Is what it is. It is about the Bloodstone family.
Yeah, I haven't really read a lot of Werewolf by Night stuff. Like, that character is not used a whole lot anymore. But like Elsa Bloodstone pops up like from here and there. Like, she is a monster hunter similar to Blade, but also has like magic and doesn't just hunt vampires.
Yeah. So it is the theme of the movie is or not the theme, but like the main idea of the feature is that Elsa's father has died, and so they're trying to figure out who's going to take over the Bloodstone, which is her family right, but she doesn't get it because she left the family, and now she wants it back. And then stuff happens, and I can't really talk too much about it because it's only 55 minutes. Like, anything I say about it can technically be a spoiler,
which is honestly kind of cool that like they kept it as like confined as that.
Yeah.
But like, it was good. You enjoyed it?
It was very good. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of practical in it, which was awesome.
Did they leave it open, you think, for more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's going to be more. Like, this was really like a setup for Elsa. It was really a setup for her. It was a character introduction.
Is she going to let it go?
Maybe she might. Actually, no. She might. She will. Turn around and slam that door for sure, but she might not let it go. She might.
All right, I'll allow it.
But it's just it doesn't have a lot of like, it doesn't connect a lot to the MCU at the moment. Like, it's very self-contained. Like I said, there's a lot of practical, which was really cool. They didn't lean too heavy on like the digital effects. It was a lot of special effects, and it was. Like, the filming was awesome, the old school style, the black and white, with the occasional hint of color here or there. Like, if you see the Bloodstone, that's in red. One of the characters has like gold markings on them, and so you can see the gold, stuff like that. And it's just like it's like a cool setup story and introduction to Elsa, as well as I guess the werewolf. And like, I'm sure she'll probably be in a future, maybe she'll be in Blade, maybe the werewolf and stuff. Well, I who knows?
But Blade has been shelved temporarily.
Has it? Well, yeah, they were having like director issues and shit, weren't they?
Well, they lost the director, so they have shut down production.
Yeah,
obviously because there's no one to fucking direct it. But yeah, it was starting pre-production, and like cast and crew were like starting to set up in Atlanta. And now they have shut that shit down while they try to find a new director and fix apparently what is a not good script.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But I am interested to watch this Werewolf by Night. I was going to last night, but got done Midsommar later than I expected.
Uh-huh. I watched them both on Sunday because I was like, I sat down and I watched Midsommar, and I was like, it was probably like 6 when I sat down to watch Midsommar, and I got done that, and I'm just like, I need something good, or at least something not as weird as this movie was. And so I was like, let's check out Werewolf by Night for sure, and I watched that, and it's such a cool, fun watch. That like I highly recommend.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
it's always good. I guess, is there anything else either you guys want to talk about?
No, I haven't really done much new. I mean, I made it through Resident Evil 2 last night. But so I did.
You did that like a year ago.
But yeah, like 2 years ago.
It was like 6 months.
Whatever
it was yesterday.
but like, yeah, I wasn't. It was yesterday.
Literally
It
and
was-
figuratively.
Literally was yesterday. But like, yeah, I'm putting together my list of best to worst Resident Evil.
Is
so,
this going to be like your
nothing
Mega
too
Man
special,
list
but-
where you're like, this one was really good and all the rest were all the same?
No, because since I'm doing like the remakes and stuff, they're not all the same.
I'm just
But,
fucking
like,
with you.
But I mean, it is like that is a legit question. I will 100% say like I did kind of like cheat on that list, but at the same time I didn't because they really were all just the same.
Nope. 2 and 3 are the best. Everything else is garbage.
I mean, I would not 100% agree with that, but also you haven't played 11.
Okay, you know
Or
what? Yes, I have not played
10.
11. 11 could sit someplace else. I don't know that.
Or 9. Did you play 9 and 10?
Yes, they are over a decade old. Played both of them.
Just saying. Oh, I honestly, in my opinion, 11. But that's also it's the newer game, so it has the better mechanics and the better engines.
Yeah,
to
and
run
it's like
on,
2.5D, and like it looks neat.
Yeah.
Look, even a bad
But-
Mega Man game is still an okay Mega Man game.
I don't know. We're talking Mega Man 1 here.
It's good up until the end.
Mega Man 1, I said this a million times, I'm surprised they made a franchise out of it.
I mean, that could be
After
could be said about a lot of firsts in anything.
Especially in that era.
Yeah.
But like, it was really easy to pump those games out. Like, they were probably halfway done Mega Man 2 before Mega Man 1 was even released.
I mean, I'm also being very critical with Resident Evil. Like, one of my notes for Resident Evil 1 was it lives on in nostalgia. Like, it is a classic, which is both a good and bad thing about it. Because it was such a good classic, but it did not age well. So it's not going to be high up on the list. Even with the HD remasters of Resident Evil 1, it's not going to be high up on the list.
Yeah, and I think there's also something to be said for that. Like, Resident Evil 1 has not really been updated since 2002, which was only a couple of years after it originally released. So, like, it's still a 20-year-old game with 20-year-old game mechanics built around a Because, like, it was a GameCube remake, too. So, like, while it's been ported and, like, made to work on modern, like, control schemes, it was still built around the GameCube controller.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, like, while people
Yeah,
love that thing for Smash Brothers, that's a garbage fucking controller for basically everything else.
But it's like, right now, my list goes Resident Evil 0 is last place, Resident Evil 1 is middle.
Is that just
And
because you're
Resident
bad
Evil-
at it, though?
Bad at what? Resident Evil 0?
Yeah.
No, Resident Evil 0 just, in general, wasn't good.
When did that even come out?
That was GameCube. That came out just before the remake of Resident Evil 1.
Okay, so it's another...
Or around the
it's,
time of the remake.
Okay,
of
so it's
Resident Evil,
another
and it's
20-year-old game that hasn't really had, like, a good update the way 2 and 3 have.
Mm-hmm.
right. But two is my number one right now. But it's like I even loved 2 back in the day. Like when I played it the original, like it was my favorite. It was my intro into Resident Evil.
I mean,
so,
isn't Resident Evil 2 generally, like, the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood? Like, it's the one that everyone kind of thinks of when they think of Resident Evil?
2 and 4 is
Yeah.
generally what
that's
people think of.
When I was
I
saying
more-
2, I was thinking more like legitimate Resident Evil, so like 1 through 3. Because by 4 is where it took that turn to more like action game.
No, 4 is still very legit Resident Evil horror. It does have the QTEs, but
No, I didn't.
Besides that,
I didn't say it went full action game. I said it was taking the turn towards action. Like
maybe.
that was the one where like they started introducing more of like fast reload and QTE and stuff like that. Where like then they just went full action game in 5.
Yeah, I mean, it still has the tank controls, though, which is...
Does it?
Really?
Even on modern
Yeah.
console?
I mean, I haven't played it on modern, but, like, even... So the tank controls still are... Like, yeah, you have the control stick, so it's not as tanky, but you have to stop to shoot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4, you still have to stop to shoot.
I bet there's a mod you could install to not have to do that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Because that is part of what that is a little bit of a loss in Resident Evil is losing that you have to stop to shoot. Like it kind of takes a little bit of the suspense away, but like then you got situations like in Resident Evil 2 where the zombies are immortal. And it doesn't matter how many times you kill them, they still keep coming back to life. I had in both playthroughs of Resident Evil 2, I had one zombie that got me every time I entered into a certain room each time. And for Leon's, it was going from either from the main hall to the detective office or from the detective office to the main hall. And in Claire's, it was going from the STARS office to the library. I had a zombie get me every time. And every time I went into that room, I would blow those zombies' legs off. I would shoot them in the heads. They would make the noises like they're dead. And then they'd still be alive the next time I got into that room. Every fucking time.
Oh, this is unrelated to that, but I do have a bone to pick with you.
Huh?
I saw you made a tweet about what you should play next on stream. And you had 0 responses. So I went in there and I thought about that for at least 15 minutes and came up with a recommendation for you, and you never responded.
Yeah. What time was that? 2 hours ago at 5:50, right?
No, it was way before 5:50.
It says 2 hours. So 5:44 is when you sent that. I was taking a shit.
All the perfect time to be responding to tweets.
I saw that and was like, I'll respond to it later, and then we started recording. I mean, I also got another response for Pokemon. So it's Mario is it could happen. I could do Mario. Like, there's a lot of Mario, but like playing it wouldn't be lost levels because I don't think technically there's credits to roll. Once you beat that you just keeps going.
No, they have like an ending to them.
Yeah.
But, like, it wouldn't... I probably wouldn't do Lost Levels, but I would do Mario 2, Mario 3.
Well, I mean, that is Mario 2.
No, I would do American Mario 2.
Yeah, but if you're playing it from the Switch Online app, it's called Mario 2.
What? Lost Levels?
Yeah.
Is it called Mario 2?
I think so.
I don't know. I can't remember. But, I mean, that's an option.
And look, you don't have to do Japanese Mario 2 because, like, you would get frustrated and stop. 100%.
Yeah. I could potentially go back to Mario World, but like I'd stopped playing that game for a reason.
And you were almost done.
I was, and I wasn't having fun. So it's like I would more so say yes to doing.
What? I take it back. I take back my recommendation. This is like that was mostly a joke.
I know.
Legit recommendation: Yakuza.
You have suggested that, and that's all available on Game Pass, I believe. So.
I'm pretty sure it is, and even if some of them aren't, they do go on pretty good sales pretty regularly on Steam. Yeah. And you could legitimately start with Kiwame or Zero, because Zero is like a prequel. It takes place in the 80s. You might not love the combat right away, because like those early games are just like brawler beat 'em ups. It doesn't switch to like the turn-based combat until 8, which is like a dragon, but the story and the side quests and the characters are so much fun that like I think you would get super fucking into it.
Yeah, it's just right now like Evan suggested Pokemon, and I'm like, I'm not going to do Pokemon because they're just such long games and there's so many.
Also, if you're not doing like the cool Pokemon stuff, like the and not Nuzlocke, because those aren't all that much fun to watch either. But like randomizers or like speedrun stuff. Pokemon's not a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some people play Pokemon, but it's overall just chatting with the person who's playing and less watching them play.
Exactly. It's very much like a chill, you're trying to have a conversation with your audience. You're not trying to play a game. Yeah,
but like the Yakuza, like I don't know the exact length of those games.
They're about 20 hours, give or take.
Yeah, that's my biggest worries. If like there's 8 games that are each 20 hours.
No, 8 is like 50.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if I were to pick that up, like, that is definitely not something I would do, like, I would probably say no to Yakuza just because of the length of the game.
So, Yakuza Kiwame is 18 hours. Yakuza 0 is actually 31 hours. So, there's that.
Yeah. So, like, it needs to be something limited to, like, a few days per game for the series, or, like, a week per game at most, and it not be a long series. So, like, if I were to do the Mario one, it would be all the 3D Mario games. So it would be like the 3D World Mario games. So it would be like 64, Sunshine, Galaxies, maybe Galaxies 2 if I could find a way to play it, but I probably can't find a way to play it. Odyssey, those ones. The 2D Mario games, I could do those all each in one session as well.
No,
like something
couldn't.
like that.
Come on now.
Well, like Mario 1 and I've never really gotten much past like the second level in American Mario 2, so I don't really know how long that'll fucking take to play. But like it really depends on how long the game's and how big this series. Like somebody could say, the Tales of series, and it'd be like, oh yeah, well Tales of Arise is 60 hours. So you want me to play nothing but Tales of for the next 5 years. Like that's just too much. I would love to do that, but that's a lot of RPG.
But, and like, I mean, you're not wrong. For what it's worth, on the Yakuza argument, I have seen a lot of people who stream less than you do on an average, that have been making their way through the Yakuza games and really enjoying them. Mm-hmm. Like on stream.
I've seen I rated out to somebody yesterday who was playing Yakuza.
Like, cause, they're fun enough that, like, the characters and, like, the story in those are, like, good television also.
Yeah.
So, like, even when it's, like, you're stuck in, like, a cutscene or whatnot, like, it's still entertaining for people to watch.
Yeah.
And, like some of the characters in side quests are just stupid over-the-top bullshit. It's great. But that's probably a show.
Yeah, I gotta go food shopping.
What an asshole. Like, you're gonna show up at 8:30 at night to the fucking grocery store.
They close at midnight. I'm not showing up at last call.
Nobody wants you there that late, though. They have shit to do. Right, Drew?
Like what? They're working. What else are they gonna do?
Not work, I mean, obviously.
It's not that bad.
Man, you
it's
guys
not like you're showing up at 8:30 when closing's at 9
with a bag full of shit to return.
Yeah, like I'm at least like I've done that before. I've like ran to ShopRite at like 5 of closing to grab like one thing before.
You know what I think it is?
I hate it.
I worked more retail than either of you guys did.
No. All right, maybe. Yes, a little bit.
Like, when did you stop? You worked retail. I'm not saying you didn't. I worked more retail.
Sure, you also worked at a real shit GameStop.
That is true, but I also didn't work at just GameStop.
Yeah, fair.
You at least were in a shopping center where, like, you didn't have people coming real late, and my GameStop wasn't that bad. The problem we had was Audubon sucked and fucking would just lock their doors at 8:15 and not let anybody in.
But also, come on, the management at your store never gave a shit about anything.
I'm telling
properly.
Shannon.
Did Shannon really care?
She cared more than she should have.
Okay, fair. But, like, that store was never in, like, proper condition.
It was in better condition, I think, than you think it was.
But again, Wegmans closes at midnight. I have 4 hours.
Yeah. I know. And you know what? When I worked at, like, a CVS, people that came in at 8 o'clock when we closed at 10, I still fucking hated them.
But why?
Because they were messing shit up on the shelves that I had to then go fucking fix again.
We'll wait until 10 o'clock and then fix it then.
You're not allowed to.
Why?
So, like, actually, Wegmans probably does it differently because that store is so big and so busy. But, like, even when I worked at that shitty little Thriftway, generally, like, the last, like, 2 hours of the night are, like, going around and, like, straightening all the shelves up because they get fucking wrecked throughout the day. So, like, you're pulling things forward, you're lining it back up, making sure it's in front of the right tag. Like, You're not staying for 2 hours after close. You're there for maybe 15 minutes if your manager doesn't suck. So, like, the store closes at 10, you're out by 10:15.
See, and this is, like, your Thriftway was tiny.
Yeah.
The Wegmans is huge. They probably have overnight workers restock the shelves.
They don't. It's baffling. The amount of times I've gone in there like first thing in the morning and they're fucking empty and restocking their shelves is insane. Like they should have overnight. You're the jerk.
You're the asshole for going there at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Man, they open at 6.
Yeah, but if I'm the asshole for going there 4 hours before they close, he's a bigger asshole for going there 2 hours after they open.
No, getting people coming in first thing in the morning is the best because that makes the day move along faster.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you never worked retail. You don't get it.
But I'm making the day move along faster by going there at night.
No, you're giving them more work to do at the end of the night.
That is true.
But I'm not giving them more work to do. I'm not giving them more work to do because I'm going to be gathering my own groceries and I'm probably going to be checking myself out. So they're actually doing no extra work from me.
No, they have to go up and clean up all the shit that you knock over. Because we both know you're an asshole in the store. You just run your cart into fucking end caps, just knock entire fucking displays over.
You don't do that?
No. Because I worked retail, motherfucker.
He shops like it's supermarket sweep.
Exactly. Like, I gotta get in and out in 10 minutes, or else I'm not gonna win the prize.
So this actually 2 very quick anecdotes. One, Wegmans related. I'm so fucking bummed that they stopped doing the scan as you go thing.
Yeah, I mean, I never actually used it.
We used it every fucking week. It made shopping so easy because you grab the thing, you scan it, you put it in your bag, you go up, you just scan the barcode on self-checkout, pay and leave. Like
go to Whole Foods.
Does Whole Foods do that now?
I don't 100% know for sure that the one in Cherry Hill does, but I know like Amazon, when they bought Whole Foods, like that is a thing Amazon is like implementing.
No, Whole Foods is just a little too expensive and
yes.
doesn't sell like enough of what we actually buy.
No, you're not wrong.
But the other thing that's actually like just completely unrelated to that, yesterday, I forget if it was when we were walking I think it was when we were coming back from lunch to New York Comic Con. There was this lady walking with a child, from the convention who like spilled their bag of popcorn that they had bought. And, like, they just started to walk away with the popcorn on the ground.
Oh, no.
And it was in front of, like, a hotel. And, like, the security guy for the hotel was having fucking none of it. And was so fucking angry. And, like, he started out not angry. He was just like, excuse me, miss. And, like, the lady just kept walking and ignoring him. And, like, then he just goes, yo! What the and, like, she turns around and starts yelling at him. She's like, it's on the ground. It's trash. What am I going to do with it? And he's like, you pick it up. You don't just walk away. Like, it was such a New York, like, confrontation. It was amazing.
Nice.
It's been a while since I've been in New York City, and, like, it was definitely a little busier than usual, just, like, in the city. Like than the last couple times I was up there. And I've never totally understood the, hey, I'm walking here, as much as I did this weekend.
Yeah,
because the amount of fucking people that would just walk in front of you and then kind of slow down on the street. I'm like, bitch, I don't care if you want to look in the store window. I was walking at least 5 miles an hour faster than you. Do not step in front of me to look inside of a window. Get the fuck out of my way. I have a train to catch, my feet hurt.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Richie's over there, like, barely able to move. Just
I stayed out of
chugging along
way,
behind me.
Look, I kept up. Okay.
You did. I could tell you were uncomfortable, but you fucking made it.
Yeah, I was not having it by the end of Saturday, but I made it. And it's mostly my fault for wearing shitty shoes.
Yeah, dude, this motherfucker showed up to, like, got in my car, and his one shoe was just fucking, like, talking. Like, it was just ripped open in the front. And he thought those were good shoes to wear to walk around New York City.
Honestly, they're the best shoes I had besides the one. They're not the best shoes I had. I have better shoes, but they're dirty, and I wasn't thinking.
Why would
honestly.
you use good shoes for doing the yard work? Come on.
Yeah, why don't you use the shoes that are ripped open for yard work?
Yeah.
Because those shoes, I'm not using fucking Vans for yard work.
Why not?
That's just dumb.
Your yard generally gets so bad that, like, you need, like, actual good shoes to do that.
I need good shoes to do yard work. Even if I were to mow it every other week, I still need, like, good shoes. Because it's just, there's so much of my yard, it's so uneven, it's not in a good shape that I need, like, decent shoes. And usually what it is, I'll buy, whenever I buy a new pair of shoes, my old shoes become my yard work shoes.
Yeah, so I do the same thing.
And so that's what happened with the shoes that are now my yard work shoes. I bought these pairs of Vans. But I was like, alright, I need to buy, like, walking or, like, running shoes as well, and I never bought the running shoes. So what was my running shoes were also my yard work shoes. And they were covered in grass and dirt and shit like that I never washed them. Because it's like, the only time I wear them is when I'm walking, jogging, or doing yard work. So I don't need to wash them because I don't wear them into people's houses. And then, alright, well, now I need to wear them into New York. So,
which, I mean, honestly, like, grass is not that bad considering all the other shit you find on the streets in New York. Like, I'm pretty sure I saw human shit stains in one spot.
Oh, I'm sure. I am absolutely sure.
But I think that's probably going to do it for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we said a little while ago, our next book club will be on the 27th, and we're going to watch Tremors from 1990, starring one Kevin Bacon. But other than that, if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all those places. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. It all helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/OneQuestOnline or at @1_Quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/OneQuestVideo, and you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And then, Rich, what's your streaming schedule?
If everything works out properly, this show's still coming out on Thursday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if everything works out right, tomorrow I will have played and be in Resident Evil 3. The remake, it's only like 6 hours. I should be able to do that in one sitting, seeing as I've done it once before. And I should be starting Resident Evil 4 tonight on stream, the day that this releases, the 13th. I'm doing all the Resident Evils by the end of the month. As long as I can get through Resident Evil 6 by the 21st, I'll be good to go. But that's a big ask, because Resident Evil 6 is fucking 20 plus hours long, and I'm not happy about it. So yeah, come check it out, twitch.tv/b_walnuts.
And Rich, I don't know if you saw, but Funko Brazil is following us on Instagram now.
Hey.
Are they?
Yeah.
I did. I've since resetting my phone, I haven't reset all of my logins, so I have not been privy to any of that information for a while.
Yeah, Erica posted a picture, I think, that included their booth, and the Brazil account followed us.
You know what? I think they followed me as well.
There you go. They just follow fucking everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
See yous.